Hello? Yo, I actually fuck OBS, dude. I hate OBS. I hate OBS so much. OBS is so dog shit, dude. Like, every time I turn on OBS, it resets all my settings. I don't know why. Anyway, hello everyone. My name is Meat Monthly. Uh, I haven't been live in over a month. It's been a while. But we finally got some new leaks to talk about. Some new theories. Yeah, good evening, dude. Um, some new stuff to talk about. I was literally just gonna play Deadlock tonight and not do anything, but I was like, I did promise that I would stream when we got some new info, and we got some new info. So there we go. Yo, what's up, MLB? Anyway, so Ball Guy posted a riddle. Okay, let me just open up this tab here. Boom. So he posted this recently, just the other day. The audio fixed itself good. I wish you were moved daily. Unfortunately, I don't have time to stream every day. And honestly, I feel like if I did stream often, I would actually be able to become like a streamer. But it's just so like it's so taxing to do, like mentally. Like it's hard to come up with content to do every day and all that. Like if I got a capture card, maybe I would try streaming champions, but it's whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this. So this was Ball Guy's riddle he posted the other day about Netsu. Okay, so Netsu means heat in Japanese. Well, not just heat, but I'm choosing to interpret it as heat. Okay, and heat in this sense is mainly talking about the change in temperature. That's what heat really means. Heat is scientifically, as like a physics guy, like I kind of know, like heat is about a transfer of kinetic energy. Okay, it's thermodynamics. So heat is what's really so responsible for weather stuff happening, right? So if you guys don't know how a storm works, essentially it gets caused by like hot air and cold air mixing together, and making wind currents and shit. That's what makes wind and stuff, and it makes storms eventually. Okay, this is just very general. Okay, that was not really a proper explanation, but that's what it's about. Heat is the transfer of energy. So you can interpret heat as the transfer of energy between hot air and cold air, which causes weather formations. Now, now, we know from the Terra League that Majin, which is the gimmick, is somehow related to the weather. I think if we were to kind of make that little connection, it's pretty easy to say that Netsu may be the current working name for Majin, for the gimmick itself. Some people were thinking that, oh, well, Netsu must be the name of the Seedmon, which we have been confirmed that is still like a real thing. Um, but I don't think that's what it is. I think Netsu is the gimmick itself rather than like the Mon, which, this is very obviously the third Mon here, is one of the things. I think that is kind of what it's about. And also, Netsu would be like a really weird name for a Mon anyway. Heat forms? I don't know about that. Like, we know next to nothing about what Netsu or Majin actually does, right? Billy said seed does not equal Netsu. Yeah, so there's that too. Meaning that, if Billy said it, then I'm pretty inclined to believe it. I mean, he might be trolling, but I'm pretty inclined to believe it when he says seed is not Netsu, which kind of lends more credence to the theory that Netsu is the gimmick itself. Now, when you're talking about stuff like this, the putting the Eternatus and the Krozma and the Terapagos here implies that the Seedmon must be the Mon involved with the gimmick itself, meaning that either the Mon is the originator of the gimmick, or it is something that can interact with the gimmick easily, right? So, once again, the third Mon is the one that actually interacts with the gimmick and does everything. The two legendaries, the box legendaries, will likely not. They probably won't have much to do with the actual backstory of Majin. If I were to guess. And Ball Guy did explain a little bit in the replies. So one thing I see here is that the tornadoes and stuff, and this is fine. This picture up here implies he's saying that it's just another amalgamation of chaos going on in that region. You'll quickly realize that some are hunting seed for its own usage. Story full of deception and drama. Now, I like it. I like this, which is why I liked it. Like the post. I really like this. I think that the story itself being involved is really, really nice. Like, I really feel like I got burned with like Gen 8 story being so abstract and like kind of random. But the more recent games like Scarlet and Violet and ZA just had so much more of an engaging story, in my opinion. Storms will be like legends. I don't know about storms being like legends. Generally, I think that the Seedmon most likely, I wouldn't say it's going to be a fire type. I don't know. I'm not really sure what he's implying by the sun here, but I feel like when you're talking about the weather and shit, it doesn't feel like a fire type isn't what comes to mind for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just weird. Like I don't like I would think that, all of these mons, it doesn't really I don't know. It doesn't really feel like that. The sun gives off heat. Yeah, that's like I feel like that's a concept that transcends being fire type, right? Do you guys understand what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't really get. What do you think of the Legends Arceus storyline? Legends Arceus storyline was alright, but it felt like a cop out. The setting was really interesting, and then the actual story was like mid, in my opinion. Kinda like Volo was cool, but it was just so threadbare. Like the game's actual story was so short that there wasn't really much to like really. There's not really much to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like they really held themselves back with the uh, with the whole like colonization interpretation, everything they did. I think like they started some really interesting story and then they just like backed out of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know. Fire type for me just feels like kind of it feels wrong. I'm not really sure why, but it's just like it doesn't feel like it would be a fire type. If anything, it'd feel like it'd be more of like a Terapagos situation where it can kind of change its type depending on the weather, or like a cast form, right? Like I would think of it as more of like a cast form than anything. But yeah, I don't know. Like the whole fire thing, I don't know. It doesn't really fit. And like we already know from the Terra leak, although we don't know exactly how involved it is. We already know from the Terror Leak that the thing is supposed to change forms depending on its environment or whatever, right? So giving it a base fire type doesn't make sense, right? Like we already know it's like there was multiple different things I think, but we already know that it was supposed to be like depending on what your main legendary island looked like from procedural generation or whatever, which Ball Guy said they were still considering doing, like it would change its appearance. And I don't know if they said it would change the type, but they said it would change the appearance stuff, which implies it would change the type too. And if it interacts with the gimmick a lot, then my guess would be if the gimmick's weather based, then it would change its type based on the weather. I'd also say that they'd probably introduce a lot more different weather types to go along with it, rather than just like 4 types. Are there any new cross-gen evolutions? I mean, I have no idea, okay? You guys gotta realize that I'm not like a games leaker per se. I'm more of an anime leaker guy, and I don't really know that much about the new games. But I would assume there would be new cross-gens because they're pretty popular and they're not that difficult to make. So I would say there's probably cross-gens. I would say there's probably gonna be a lot of mons, but who knows. Third legendary is a source of the gimmick, but the swords Seedmon holds a lot of the power of the gimmick. I'm pretty sure he's implying the Seedmon is the third legendary. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what he's implying here with this. Like, I think it's the third legendary. Like, there's not like it's pretty obvious. A Milcery. Well, it's not going to be an actual Milcery. The Milcery is just a stand-in for the actual Seedmon. Like the like come on. It's not really going to be a Milcery. Like uh like where are we at, bro? About the Pokemon Unite episodes. Well, it's an episode singular. There's only one Unite episode. Hey Chi. I don't know how to say your name. Um, there's only one Unite episode. It's episode 5. Um, there's only one. But if they animate it well, which I'm assuming they're going to because they put in the opening with I think that was probably an Oshida cut, but I'm not sure. If they do animate it well, I'll watch it, but like it's just a filler episode. Like it's not. There is an episode later on this summer which I will be watching. It's very gonna be pretty hype, but um, yeah, episode 9 is gonna be pretty fucking fire. I'll tell you that right now. Episode 9 is gonna be pretty fire, but until then, I'm not really gonna be watching. Like I'm not really gonna be like super hyped for it. I'm probably am gonna watch because episode 1 of the new arc really impressed me. But I was gonna talk about that later. I don't want to get on a tangent now. Is all Mobile Slop one episode? Yeah, yeah. Each one of the mobile games is getting its own singular episode. Most of them are going to be in the teens episodes though. I think Unite is the only one in the single digit episodes. Hello, Santy Gamer. Bring back Ash? You don't want that. You think you do, but you don't. Only one Unite episode? Dude, I mean, Unite's dying, so, like, I'm surprised they even got them to make a Unite episode to begin with. I'm assuming they're trying to use the anime to revive Unite's revenue, but Unite's been dying for, like, a year now. Navi should be appearing in episode 6, Mr. Saturn, if they've maintained the previous schedule. That's when she'll make her debut. She has a 3-episode arc, episodes 6 to 8. Oh, summarize the info on Discord. Well, I mean, I'm not really bringing new info, Santi. I'm more theorizing because this kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm kind of like just thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of days. Um, but it does seem like, well, it does seem like, remember that cloud in the launch trailer? Let me see if I can pull it up. This right here. This you just mm, how do I boop-a-doo. Okay, so you see this suspiciously serpent-shaped cloud right here in the, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but it's on the screen. In the trailer here, I'm pretty sure that this is one of those Majin clouds. I think that like this cloud is like Netsu, sort of. It's like a conjuration of Netsu. That's what I would assume. And it is influencing whatever is going on in that area, most likely. It's probably like if we were gonna talk about it, like like an analogy. Do you guys remember in the Sun and Moon anime where they kept talking about this nebulous power of Alola or whatever that wasn't actually a thing, but they were like pretending it was. It was like LARP, where they were talking about like the power of Alola, do 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 do, right? I think that there actually is a like Netsu is a power channeling through the environment that's influencing the weather. You still think it's a Gyarados? Well, I mean, that's clearly a fucking cloud. That's not a Gyarados. Do you think that's a Pokemon, dude? Are we dead ass? Or maybe there's a Gyarados under that that's influencing the Majin, the Netsu weather shit that makes it like a Gyarados cloud, right? Like maybe there's a Gyarados, like a raid boss Gyarados in there, and it is influencing the weather. So there's a cloud over it, so you know to go over there, so you can go fight the fucking Netsu Gyarados or whatever, right? But that's not the actual Pokemon. That's a fucking cloud, big dog. That's a cloud. That's not a Pokemon. Like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so that's what kind of reminds me of. Suspiciously Gyarados-shaped cloud. Yeah, right? Generally, like, I feel like they... I don't know. Like, I'm kind of sad that we're not going to be getting a trailer till next year. Like, it's so ass. Like, they gave us this cool trailer. Like, look how good this game looks. Holy shit. Of course, the far off rendering is still pretty trash. Like, look at these trees under the the cloud. Look how like the trunks aren't even connected to the leaves from far away, right? It's like just like some random ass shit. But the game genuinely looks so good. Like I'm actually so excited for this game. It looks huge too. Think January? No, dude. It's gonna be Pokemon Day. That's the next time we're gonna get a trailer. 100%. They're not gonna do a trailer before Pokemon Day. Why would they do one a month before Pokemon Day when they could just wait? Focus on more Roy Navi, Uruto, Liko. I'm not really sure. I don't actually know that much about the individual episodes themselves. Just kind of like what they're about. Like the episodes haven't even been made yet, so I can't know what the actual plot is going to be, just like what the general plan is, right? How long the current anime season will go on for? Um, let's see. I actually think I do. I don't really want to talk about 2027 too much, but I do know the current season is going to end in 2027, and then there's going to be a new season. Like, okay. When you say season, do you mean series, as in Horizons? because Horizons is going to be going on into 2028. Okay, it is not a like it's here to stay for a while. Okay, it's not ending anytime soon. They were planning on ending it last month, and then they extended it to like 2027 because uh the first Winds and Waves delay was because the Switch 2 got delayed. So originally, Winds and Waves was actually supposed to come out last year. Then it delayed to late 2026, and they extended Horizons accordingly. But now it got delayed to 2027, probably mid to late 2027 if I were to guess. Which means the anime got extended way past what they wanted to do, and now it's coming out it's ending in like 2028. Like pretty it's pretty not good. If you're talking about the current anime season as in Horizons, it's here to stay. It's here for a while. I don't know exactly how they're gonna end up spacing out that time. My guess is they should really like. I think they made a mistake by doing. They made a mistake by skipping the games plots. I think because now they don't have stuff to fall back on, right? If you guys don't know, if you guys don't watch the anime, in Horizons, it's canon that the events of Scarlet and Violet and their DLCs like already happened. Like they already happened, did their thing and all that. So they don't have a plot to go through, right? Usually, what happened in the anime at least, is that they would do plots with the box legendaries. Usually they weren't one to one with the game's plots, but they would have like an arc about it. They can't do that with this because they've already kind of written it out. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? This like with ZA they hadn't done that, but they already used the Mega Zygarde, so they can't exactly do like a whole AZ plot or whatever, I don't think. And it's not enough to stretch out like a dozen episodes or something anyway. Gen 10 champ should be evil team leader. That's a kind of a lame idea, I'm not going to lie. I don't think like I think that they don't do that specifically because it's kind of lame. Like it's kind of like for the one thing they can't do you can't that means you can't do a champion fight and an evil team leader fight, right? You're instead of two boss fights you only have one, which is kind of lame. Like it's kind of dumb. Any info on later arcs? Those later arcs haven't even been decided at this point. Distortion. It's a shit show behind the scenes. They are flying by the seat of their pants right now, trying to figure out what to do, because their internal timeline keeps getting extended by the Pokemon Company and other investors. They keep pushing them farther and farther out. OLM was already expected to be done with Horizons, and they'd already begun planning to move people off of Pokemon to other projects. Like they were expecting to be done, but they're not anymore. So now they have to reorganize everything for late 2027. It's not good. Okay, it's not good. So yeah, no, they don't even know what the arcs are going to be. So like, there's no way I would know, right? I meant the current filler season. Well, if you're talking about Arc 7, well, it's probably going to be until like October, like it usually is. And then they'll do another season until whenever in early 2027, right? I don't know what the next arc is going to be about. They're probably trying to figure that out right now because they were going to be doing a Gen 10 arc this year. Like Arc 8 was supposed to be the last arc of Horizons with a Gen 10 arc and with Navi being a Gen 10 character. Well, not like a Gen 10 character as in the games, but related to Gen 10, right? But that's not really happening as of now. Maybe they'll still do it when they do Gen 10 next year, but at this point they have no clue what they're gonna do with it. But go and sleep. Yeah. I can't even tell you the episode numbers. I mean, I don't even give a fuck. Let me just go look. All right, go. All right, sleep is 148, and then Go is 152. There you go. I don't even think it matters at this point. Gen 10 contrasts Gen 1. Nah, if anything, I think Gen 10 is a lot more like Gen 7 than Gen 1. Navi is from Lumios now, to my understanding. I don't know if she was originally going to be from the Gen 10 region, but she was supposed to have a Gen 10 Pokemon that was like Togepi style. So it was either going to be an egg or like a baby. And then they ended up just not. They ended up just rewriting that out. Maybe that's the Mon in her Dream Ball. You know, she has a Dream Ball, right? In the opening or the ending, I don't remember. But we don't like they're not they don't have any plans on doing that anytime soon. So, you know, yeah, like this second delay really fucked everything over. I don't even know. And apparently no one knows why the delay actually happened. English go yeah, no. I'm pretty sure she lives in Lumios as of now. Um Also, given that they in the opening she's at Lumios, I'm pretty sure that she lives in Lumios. Corellia will appear in Lumios. Corellia? Don't you mean Karina? I doubt it because Karina was a pretty major character in the anime. She played a pretty big role um, in both XY and Journeys, so I doubt it. There should be a Pokeball for all types. Is that what you're saying? Why are you telling me this? Go send an email to the Pokemon Company and tell them that. I don't know. Who cares if there's a Pokeball for all the types? Well, Ivor versus Roy being the Navi arc in Lumios, I would assume so, but I don't know. All I know is that those episodes are tied up for Navi. I don't really know anything beyond that, right? Uh, and the episodes haven't been finished yet, so there's no way for me to check. They're a little bit behind on the episode of production, from what I've heard. They really put a lot of work into the final arc of Arc 6, like the final episodes of it, and it kind of put them behind a little bit, from to my understanding. Well, I mean, we'll just find out the star, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know one way or another. Like, I just know what the plans were. I don't know what the plans currently are. Uh, so I can't tell you. Anyway, so let's circle back to Majin a little bit, or rather Netsu. I think Netsu is Majin. I think like I mean I explained it earlier, but I'm pretty sure that Netsu is the gimmick itself. It doesn't make sense any other way. I still don't really get how the mechanic is supposed to work though. Unfortunately, we don't have the Terra League build, so there's not like if we had the Terra League build, you know, the Terra League build had like the battle system in it, right? Uh, will be the last episodes of the arc of this arc be about? I don't actually know the whole arc, Distortion. I only know about like the first 19 episodes, which is I think the extent to which they were planned when I got the information. Um, but the last set of episodes was that I know about is the arc about the ruinous legendaries. It's a 3-episode arc. You think Gen 10 revolves around all types since about the weather? I don't know about all types. Okay, I think that I think that I don't know if they're gonna do another 18 type gimmick again, right? Because they just did that with Terastal, and they did that in Gen 7 with Z moves, and then they didn't do that for Dynamax, which I think Dynamax is pretty lame. But then they did it again for Terastal, right? Now we know that Winds and Waves takes a lot of motifs from Sun and Moon, but I think that they're not going to do 18 types of weather. I think that's kind of dumb. But I do think they are going to be doing some sort of weather that either empowers or transforms Pokemon, depending on the weather. Probably just empowering. I don't think they're going to do a bunch of new models for like forms. I don't think this is going to be a forms gimmick. In my opinion, I don't think it is. I feel like the forums gimmicks are just like they're cool, but they take so much work, and it's just I don't think they should do them. I don't know. I wonder if it will have abilities. It's hard to say. Like, we really have no context, which is why I wish I had the Gaia build from the Terra Lake, because it has the battle system in it, and we could get context on even a preliminary idea of what the Majin shit actually does, because we don't know what it does. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if it's just weather, then like, well, why can't they just do that in abilities? Like, why they didn't need to make a whole gimmick out of it? So there has to be some sort of um there has to be some sort of upside from like using the weather to your advantage aside from just the effects of the weather. Oh, like battling abilities? Yeah, I know. I don't know if they're like if it affects abilities or anything like that, Like it's weird. I don't know. Um does it affect the moves? Does it affect stats? Like types? Like it's impossible to tell. I don't know. We have no context for what this shit actually does. As of now, what we know about Netsu is that it affects the weather in the region. This Seedmon interacts with it either to change forms or to empower itself or just the weather around it, which is why people are hunting for it. Uh, we do know that the planned evil team is supposed to be like a landscaping company, like a land ownership landscaping company that probably just buys up land to like make resorts and stuff, if I were to guess. So they're hunting seeds so that maybe they can use the weather to do favorable building conditions or whatever. I'm not really sure. Um, Something for AoE. That makes sense given that the Winds and Waves battle system seems like a mix of ZA and the traditional system, in that, you know, you can have multiple opponents at once and you can select target wild mons to fight. It's not 1v1, but it actually involves all the mons at once. But it's still the turn-based system. Does it make sense? I think that's what the battle system's probably going to be. I don't know because I don't have a fucking build, but God knows that if I had a build, we ain't gatekeeping that shit. We're just going live, but that's why I don't have the build. But yeah. So that's what we know. I'm gonna continue pondering on it. Maybe ask around a little bit. Probably will look to do a leak write-up sooner or later on this, and like actually consider and think about what it is, along with any rumors I find, but it's a little tough. Gen 11 dual type gyms. Okay, bro. Gen 10 is like over a year from release. Okay, let's wait before Gen 11. The biggest news, though, I think, is that Seed, not the Seedmon, but the actual Project Seed is still in development, right? The MMO, that still being in development is surprising to me. I was like, no shot. Like, that project's way too ambitious. Like they cannot make that. Like they're not capable of making that. But maybe they scaled it back, or maybe the Switch 2 gives them more leeway than expected. I don't know. I just don't see the netcode happening. Like their netcode, like Nintendo's netcode in general has always been dog shit. As a company, as an organization, as a system, their netcode has always been terrible across all of their titles. And even dedicated multiplayer companies like Blizzard who make MMOs like as a living, like that's like their whole shit is like online games, MMOs, ARPGs, competitive titles, like their whole shit is multiplayer, and they cannot handle in World of Warcraft more than like 40 people in one spot at a time before everything just goes to shit. So I really don't think when they say MMO, it's more likely going to be like Destiny, where you do instance content with like a shared gathering location, right? Like, I mean, that's what Winds and Waves is gonna do. Winds and Waves still has its MMO elements in that sense. They have the hotel, which is like a gathering point, and then there's gonna be like actual raids apparently or whatever, right? That was like the original plan. No, so I guess they're using that netcode as a baseline to start working on Seed, but I just anything more than 8 players, it's not happening. I don't think it's happening. How early or late is the Ogerpon arc? The Ogerpon arc is 2 episodes. It's a two-parter. It is. I will get that for you. 14 plus 136. It's 150 and 151, I believe. That should be the numbers for Ogerpon. Would they really reveal all the unseen driver in these regions around now? No, they would probably do some like either you just have to use like there's no way they do the in between areas. I think that they're probably just gonna do like some train or something that goes in between. There's just no way. There's not really there's not really a viable way to link all the regions together because like for example, Hoen's an island. Like you're gonna have to go over there over water anyway. Like they're not all literally connected to land. Like you could do the first three. Yeah, they can do a Shinkansen, but like the first three are linked, right? Like Johto and Sinnoh are there's like a tunnel between them, the Sinjo runes, right? And then Kanto's to the right of it. So that's pretty easy. You just do like a little forest or whatever, and you just go through that and you get the Sinnoh. But for Hoenn, isn't it an island area? So like you're just gonna have to like have a boat or something. But I don't think that the in between areas are going to be all the region of Japan. Like they're not doing that. They're not doing that. It's not happening. But because that would be like the size of those regions compared to Japan itself is like not even a fifth of Japan's landmass, I'm pretty sure. So maybe it's a third or a fourth. But like it's like not like it's not even the majority. So you can't like you can't like that would be like making 10 regions instead of 4. Like they're not going to do that. At that point they might as well just make a game with all of the regions in it and just call it a day, but they're not going to do that. So yeah. I don't know. Seed does interest me though. Seed probably interests me more than okay. No. Winds and Waves definitely interest me more. But Seed, if they execute it well and they try within their means, then it'll be fine. The Terry League showed that Game Freak is a very ambitious company. They don't make the games dog shit because they are lazy. It's far from it. It's that they're held back by the corporate interests in the Pokemon games as well as the actual platform they're developing it for. So they're a very ambitious company, and Winds and Waves really is showing that. But I think Seed is a step too far. Like they're reaching for the sun with this one. You know what I'm saying? Like Winds and Waves is a very big game, but Seed is like 3 times the size of it. What's cool about Seed though is that they could add future regions as DLC. It could be like a perennial game for them that constantly it is a live service game. That's the advantage of an MMO is that if you have a solid foundation, and Pokemon is pretty much the solidest foundation you can do, you could just keep making expansions. For all the regions, and every new region could have like a sequel storyline to its main games and everything. Like it starts with the first 4 regions, and then they do a Unova. Maybe that's why they didn't do a Black and White remake, because they're planning on doing Black and White 3 in Seed, right? I think that Seed could be the game that really cements the Switch 2 as the defining console for Pokemon. Like, they're really pushing on Winds and Waves, right? They're trying to make it the best games they can be because they think that, Winds and Waves is like Black and White, right? It's like they've put so much effort and time into these games, and the scope of them seems to be so massive that, this is like Black and White where they were like, actually tryharding to see how well a tryhard game would be received. Like, you guys, like, we can tell, right? Sword and Shield, they kind of phoned it in, right? It was kind of a disaster. Um, Even though it sold extremely well, they kind of phoned it in. But this time, they're really. I don't think they phoned it in with Scarlet and Violet, but people seem to think that way. But these games are going to go crazy. These games are going to go insane. And while Winds and Waves is going to be setting up the Switch 2 as a solid platform for Pokemon, it's really going to be Seed that cements it. If it actually comes out, all 4 regions, MMO stuff, raids, quests, PvP, like arena PvP with like ranked and stuff, and all of that, it is just like the GOAT, right? It's like the Pokemon game. It's like Pokemon but actually good. That shit is gonna be generational, and it's gonna be a live service game that gives extended funding to the Pokemon Company, which would in turn make Gen 11 even better, right? Like, as of right now, the games are not the most profitable aspect of the Pokemon franchise. That would probably be either the TCG or the merch. And probably the TCG. The TCG is insanely profitable. Um, but it's got to end. Like, we got to get the games back up. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Scarlet and Violet seems like it was just money printing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they did put effort into it, okay? There was a lot of really cool new Pokemon designs. The story was good, and it was actually a big game with a lot of content. And the content was actually pretty good. It was just that the games looked like shit and they were buggy as hell. No, Dexit was always going to happen, Mr. Saturn. Dexit was inevitable. I don't really. I was never even really mad at Dexit. Mainly because I didn't really care about the national Dex to begin with. Like, I just. I always caught new Pokemon and used the Pokemon that were in the game, not like transferred mons in. Like, I never even transferred my mons from like the first 5 gens to like 3DS or home. Like, I've never used Bank or home ever. I don't know. I'm just like not that attached, I guess. But yeah, I was never really that pressed with Dexit. Your Koraidon, Miraidon are actually going to have a purpose in their arc. Are they just getting episode fan service fillers? Um, from what I've seen, it seems like it's going to be a filler, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to actually have a thing. But what I do know is they have one episode centered on them that sounds like a filler. You think we get the most new Pokemon in Gen 10? It depends, right? Because like think about Winds and Waves, right? It's a massive game. Like just look at this region, right? Look how fucking big it is. You need Pokemon density different like species variability in between each of these islands, right? You don't want to be finding the same 5 lines of Pokemon on this main island here and then the island behind it, right? You want different species on each island. So there's 2 ways they can go about this. There's 2 different ways they can go about this. The first way is they put in like 500 to 600 Mons in the National Dex, as in a bunch of old Mons, right? So maybe there's just a normal amount of like 100 or so new Mons, and then like 500 old Mons in it, right? All over the place. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So as I was saying, there are 2 ways that they can do this. The first way is by doing 100 or so normal Mons, the regular amount they've been doing recently, new Mons, and then like 500 or so old Mons, right? Because like simply looking at the scope of this image, and then if you've seen the Terra Leak map, how big that fucking map was. You can't just have Wingulls in every single one of these. You need a different bird Pokemon for each of them. That, as an example. On top of the islands, there's also the ocean under it. There's going to be reefs and stuff. Every patch of ocean should have a different smattering of Mons. You need hundreds of lines for this for a map this big. Otherwise, the exploration experience is going to be pretty lame. You're going to be finding the same Mons on on 2 of the islands you see in this picture, and it's going to be boring. It's like, oh, I already saw all this shit already. Whatever. They did really well in ZA with every single one of the wild areas having different Mons. Of course, there was some overlap, but not a lot. The content density in ZA was incredible. Although certain corners of the city in ZA were really barren. Like comparing the southern area to like the northwestern area of the game is like it's like silly how barren it is. But the second way they can do it, and this is the way that I think they should go about it, of course, but it's like a wishful thinking, is if they had a fuck ton of new Mons and then less old ones, right? Meaning they could have like 200 or 300 new Mons and then a few hundred old Mons, so that the game has way more novelty, right? It'd also be a great selling point. Of course, people didn't really react to when they did this in the past very well. You remember in Gen 5 when the only Mons you could use were the new ones, and people didn't really like a lot of them, so ended up like, well, people want to use Charizard and Lucario every single game. They want to use the same Pokemon every single time because they're lame as fuck, right? Which is why they've put Lucario, Garchomp, Luxray, uh, and like the Kanto starters in every single major game for the past several generations, right? Because you can just use them over and over and over. Um, and with the recent TCG bubble, it's almost like Pokemon Go back in the day, like 10 years ago, where a bunch of people who weren't really interacting with the franchise are now starting to come into it. And with the Switch 2 being an actual good console, it's possible that Winds and Waves, off the success of the TCG, will be bringing in a lot of new fans to play these games. Maybe the first time they've been playing these games since they were kids, right? Lots of older fans who can actually afford the Switch 2, because Switch 2 is expensive as fuck. If they have a bunch of new mons as opposed to a bunch of old mons, those people will quickly lose interest in the game because I can't use Charizard. I'm just gonna drop this shit then and return it or whatever, right? And there are people on Twitter, these these TCG scalpers and stuff, who are like, if there's gonna be a new Pokemon game, it should just be the original 151 Pokemon in it because that's all I care about. And it's pretty dumb, but it's the world we live in, and it's part of the consumer base that the Pokemon company needs to be mindful of. So it's a balance. What ratio? Like, we know that they need to have, like, I would say between 500 and 600 species in these games. But what sort of ratio should it be? Because, previous games, like for example Scarlet and Violet, had like around 400 species. At like just the base version had around like 400 total species, I'm pretty sure, right? ZA had much less, but it was a much smaller map. I was actually impressed ZA had as much as it did with how small the map was. But Scarlet and Violet had around 400 species, and it was the biggest Pokemon games of all time, right? These games probably need between 500 and 600 species to catch. And, the only question there then is the ratio. Should it be half and half? That feels kind of unrealistic, right? Like, like what? 200 to 300 new mons? Like, that's insane. Like, that's just never gonna fucking happen. Like, it's just too much work, right? Because look how much work they've put into stuff like the environment, most likely the wind system, the wave systems, and all of that, right? The story, the graphics. They only have so much manpower to make these games with. Game Freak isn't the biggest company. While they do contract work out to certain people, there's only so much shit you can put in a game before it's too much. It's too big, right? Even if these games are, according to Terra League, these games are probably going to be the most expensive games that Game Freak has ever made from like a cost of production perspective, right? Although, they're probably going to be $80 too. I'm not going to lie. But from a cost of production perspective, these are going to be the biggest games Game Freak's ever made. And we don't even know how much over budget they've gone so far, right? That was just their projected budget, but they've probably gone way over, if I were to guess. So, at that point, how far are these games going to go? Like, 300 mons is unreal. It's not possible. New ball guy tweet? You can't be for real. Really? I think there is a new one. No, there's not. You fucking lied. Oh, maybe in the replies? Oh. The evil team trying to catch a seed, hiring behind research. Think of it as the major corporation regions of research with business relations to a group to do their bidding for them. This same corporation is responsible for those laboratories. So there are Netsu labs. Think of it as the major corporation in the region with business. So the evil team isn't necessarily the corporation itself. But this does sound like this is again another parallel of Sun and Moon, right? Like the Aether Foundation basically subcontracted Team Skull to do some of their work for them, right? This is the same way. A major corporation is contracting a group to do the bad stuff, right? Makes sense. Another parallel with Sun and Moon. Interesting. But yeah, I don't know. There's not really. I mean, this is another bit of context which makes sense. And it was actually kind of what we were talking about earlier. But until we get more context on the story, it's kind of like, okay, this is just another data point for me. But yeah, back to what we were talking about. It's just kind of. It's kind of. I guess, is Ball Guy watching the stream? I bet he is. I bet he is. He's told me he watched them before. Yeah, maybe he. Yeah, maybe he is. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so like as I was saying, given how big these games and how involved the development clearly is, like even from just this short trailer, like just fucking look at it, bro. Like just look at this. Look how big this game is. Like I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's gonna be less than 200 personally. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 150 or something, like more than usual, because it is the 10th generation, right? Maybe it's gonna be 150, maybe 170, but I don't think it's gonna break 200 even. I don't know. I just don't. I don't believe it. Like it would be. I mean, it would be cool if there was like 400 new mons, but I mean, that's never gonna happen. Like we've even had interviews with we've even had interviews with like people from Creatures, right? The people who do the animations and rigging um for the mons, and how involved the process is to make just one new mon. Like they have to there's like a whole committees that approve every single animation and like the models and everything, the designs. There's like 5 different subcommittees just to get one new mon done. And you're telling me they're going to do hundreds of them? Like it's not going to happen. It's not. Like, it's just too much work. Like they'd have to be making this shit since like 18 or something to get all that shit done, and they haven't been, right? They've been like they may have pulled out some old beta designs as Ball Guy implied, right? Um, but it's just a fuck ton. I don't know. It's just so much. Given if the game looked like trash, right? If the game looked like Scarlet and Violet, then maybe I'd believe you. Then maybe I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. Maybe they put all their focus into making new mons, right? But they didn't. Like these games, even if these games had no new mons in them at all, they would still be insane. Like they would still be an insanely big game that's just incredible. Like you just, it's just like it's like look at this environment, bro. Like I don't know. People will call them lazy. Yeah, and also you also have to think about like the feasibility of like, okay, well, if they make hundreds of new mons, then are how good are the designs actually going to be, right? Like you can only make so many different kinds of mon before even let alone repetitiveness compared to old mons. Even the new mons might be repetitive, right? Like how many new ideas that are relevant to their new region IRL, right? How many ideas are relevant to the new region that have either one haven't been done before, and two, can you even find enough uh you know ideas that can stand on their own to make up for that, right? Like you can't because there's only like you can have some buff fighting types, you can have some big rock types that are really slow and all that, right? Like, but there's only so many of each kind you can make before they get repetitive, even in and of themselves. There's also diminishing returns. Oh, you retracted it. Okay, but there's only so many times, even within the national, like within the regional decks in itself, that before you're making the same kinds of mons over and over. Make sense? Like, of course, Indonesia is probably like Southeast Asia is probably one of the best places they could have chose to do this kind of thing because of how high the biodiversity is in these tropical regions. But still, when you talk about functionality, when you talk about like how will they actually play in the game, like move sets, stat spreads, that sort of thing. Like how many different fishmons can they even make before they all play the exact same, right? From an actual gameplay perspective, like how good could it actually be? And then you start realizing that the feasibility of hundreds of new mons, like way like like double or even triple the normal amount we get would be just be like, from a game perspective, it doesn't really make sense. Like, it would be a really cool marketable number, but aside from that, it's kind of like, it's whatever. Like, they do need a lot of different kinds of mons. I think they need 500 to 600 species, but I don't think the ratio should be like 1 to 3 or even 1 to 2, right? Like 300. Like, I don't think it should be that high. Even with that, it's kind of ass. Like the games wouldn't actually like. It's like, how many different kinds of fish could you find before you got bored, right? I don't know, but it is something to think about. It would give a lot of content for TCG and other peripherals like the anime. That's for sure, right? If they had that many mons, but I don't know. Depends. And at that point, with a game that big, with a game as big as this, do they even have like, what about the actual gameplay content, right? Like, I'm a little concerned about content density with how big this game is. Like, is 8 gyms even enough? Like, they can do the 18 objectives for one for each type, like they did with Scarlet and Violet, which is fine. 18 objectives is a lot, but I don't know, like, if that's even enough. Like, they probably need to add more of some kind outside of just types, one for each type. They need to probably do some extra stuff. Otherwise, it's like, of course, you don't want to make the game too long, but I think they kind of have to. I think they do have to make this this game is already looking like a 50-hour game. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this game's already looking like a 50-hour game. It probably needs to be longer than that, if I were to guess. Like, they just need to, like, especially if you have that many mons, like, it's gonna be a pretty long game. Next read should be based on an arc. Bro, this guy has been typing in all caps like the dumbest ideas I've seen. But I like the heart though. I like the drive. I don't know if I like the ideas, but it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty funny to read. This Cameron, for people who watch the VOD, this like one guy in chat keeps like belting out his ideas in all caps of like just the craziest shit. National deck should end with 1500 after Gen 10. Yeah, that's not happening, buddy. What, you want like 500 new mons? Okay, dude. Someone said that Ball Guy said moves had cooldowns like Final Fantasy VII Reborn. Remake. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't think they should do the cooldown thing again, though. I like the cooldowns, but the problem is that they have to remake every single move and rebalance them, and that's just too much work to do. There's like almost like 2,000 moves in the game at this point. Like, you should invest in getting challenge screen. The chat isn't really moving fast enough to do that, but maybe at some point I will. I don't know. But yeah. It's whatever. Maybe if I become like a 100, maybe during the league season. I do remember that during the ZA league season, we would get like 200 live viewers in here. That was pretty wild. Everyone involved in the launch episode, just Lico? I don't know. I don't know the plots of the episodes at all. I just know what they're about. I may start streaming Champions, actually. I'm considering, but also I haven't played it in like a month. I played it a lot for like a couple weeks, and I kind of got bored. Probably because I was using the same team over and over. I got bored of it. Maybe I should try different teams. But I got into like this Mega Aggron team. I got to Master Ball tier, and I just got bored as fuck. I don't know. Like, Pokemon is a fun game, but the gameplay isn't fun enough for me to like play ranked seriously for a long time. I was just playing Mr. Rhyme and Aggron, Mega Aggron, and it was super fun, but kind of bored. So for my 32nd birthday for WeWere News, yeah, it's gonna be a long wait. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do for. I'm just gonna fuck off probably. I mean, I've been fucking off. I haven't been nearly as active in Pokemon since then. when do you wager Terra will come to champions? Hopefully never. Honestly, I think half of the reason the game is so fun is because Mega is truly the most fun mechanic to play with. It is. They were so smart doing Mega first. Like, I don't think they should add the other mechanics at all. I honestly don't think they should. Even though they will eventually have to for content reasons, those mechanics are so fucking lame. Like, Terra is lame as hell. It's super hard to deal with for just your casual player. Like, if they do a Terra season, literally everyone's going to stop playing. I swear to God. Because there's actually a lot of, inexperienced players playing champions right now. It's like, there's like 400,000 concurrent players or some shit, right? So it's like, there's a lot of inexperienced people who are playing it, and those people, once you start going into like Terra memes and like fake outs and all the additional layer of strategy, like Terra is probably a good mechanic for competitive gameplay, right? But for actual fun purposes, it's dog shit. And even though Champions is supposedly a competitive game, it's really not. It's more of a casual game where you can battle your friends and stuff and learn different things. That's why they didn't put in a bunch of held items. That's why they did Mega first, because it is a straightforward and fun meta. That is why they're doing it the way they're doing it. So there's just like, they should never add it, but they'll eventually do it. But that's when the game will die. You think Gen 10 will have all legends? Probably not. I don't like that every single game they add like all the legends in through some mechanic. Like, I feel like I remember back in Gen 6, it was like the last time where you couldn't get all of the legends in one game, and actually trading Pokemon with people online was actually cool. Because people would have, legendaries that you didn't have. Maybe you didn't play a certain set of games or whatever, or didn't transfer them to XY, right? And it was actually just fun. Like, you could trade, like, actually trade mons and like trade up legendaries trying to get like a shiny Ho-Oh or whatever, right? That, of course, someone modded in, but 13-year-old me wasn't thinking about that hard. It was actually fun, but once you got to Oraz, you can get every single legendary. Then there's no point. There's no point to even trading with anyone because you can get everything by yourself. And then Gen 7 did the same thing, Gen 8 did the same thing, Gen 9 did the same thing. Like, I don't care, bro. Yeah, it's just Gen 9 is just so much more of a knowledge gap of the Terrastall stuff that it's just not even worth playing for many people, including me. Like, of course, I could play it to an extent, right? Like, I'm pretty good at Pokemon, I think, but it's just annoying to think about, and I'm not going to play it. I mean, I've already kind of stopped playing Champions entirely anyway. Um, just Pokemon's gameplay just isn't good enough to grab my attention for that long. I just play other games like Deadlock instead, but it was fun for a while. I think it's a good product. It's a surprisingly good product. Of course, it's a little buggy and the graphics are terrible, but the actual gameplay experience, the UI, the way it flows and everything, and the way that you can get a full team of competitive Pokemon without having to pay a dime is really good. It's a surprisingly good product. That's what I'll say about Champions. If they'd actually finished it properly, it would have been a great product. Well, if Terra gets nerfed, I mean, you can't really nerf Terra to any reasonable extent because the whole thing with Terra that makes it good is predicting with it, right? Turning around like in competitive Pokemon, especially like competitive like VGC Pokemon, games are decided by a single turn, a single predict, right? And then everything's just formulaic after that. So Terra existing allows you to predict or counter predict someone easily. Like, for example, a flying type tearing into a ground type, like a Pelipper going Terra ground to avoid like a Thunderbolt or a Thunder from an opponent, right? And it wastes your turn. And then they use whatever, right? Like, there's so many things like that. Like, not just offensive Terras. Of course, most of the time you want to use your Terra on offense because it buffs your damage, allows you to break walls easier. But you always have the option to Terra any of your Pokemon for defense and counter predict someone, which just makes the whole affair so much harder for the average player. You're already struggling to predict already because it's a double battle, right? You have 4 Mon interactions to think about, right? As well as what's coming next once you defeat one of your opponent's Mons. That adding Terra just adds a whole other layer to that. And it is... would any other ZA characters can show up in the anime? I would say likely. The fact that they're doing Ivor is a good thing because you realize ZA has a bunch of characters that have never appeared in the anime before. So it's very easy for them to show those characters. So I would say likely. I would say it's likely that Rose yapping about Terra when we got a new Ball Guy. I already talked about it. Like, I already basically predicted what Ball Guy was going to say back when I was talking about the story of the game. But, the whole thing about the game story is probably going to have to be a separate stream. Like, there's not really much we can infer from it right now. So it's just kind of like, okay, cool. We know that. Nice. There's a new one about the champion. No, there is. Are you serious? There's another one? Okay. All right, bet. I'm down. Slightly, champion is epic, but also shows some hostility towards you as you protect. So he speaks to you in a way that seems he'll do anything to protect the region, no matter what it involves. There's elements of ongoing sickness with one of your friends too. All right, that's W. That's W. I mean, I like that. I like the sound of that. W Ball Guy. W Ball Guy. Actually, I'm liking the posts. I'm liking the posts. I am liking the posts. I think this is great. I really like when leakers just say stuff, right? And it's cool that Ball Guy is actually just posting shit, which is cool. I really hate the vague posting and gatekeeping, but this is the opposite of that. He's just answering questions. It's nice. I like that. W Ball Guy. Anyway, do you guys have any further questions? Do you think any of the HG crew will get new Pokemon or stay the same? Well, they weren't planning for the show to last as long as it did, so I would say probably not any new mons in this arc, but perhaps in the next arc, we'll probably see some new captures. I think that this arc's episodes were already pretty plotted out, but now that they know that there's going to be another arc, like there's probably going to be an arc 9 and maybe even an arc 10. So we're on arc 7 right now. Arc 7 was already pretty planned out before the delay. Arc 8 has to be completely rewritten. That means they have Arc 8 to catch new mons, and then Arc 9 and 10 to develop and evolve those mons. I'm saying probably not this arc, but if I were to predict, I would say Arc 8, most likely we're going to see a couple new captures. That's what I would say. And we may even see some new captures in Arc 9, which is presumably when they're going to go to the Gen 10 region. We'll see some new Gen 10 captures for the gang, I think. Will the girls get megas? I don't know. Most likely not, because that would require new captures, right? I'm pretty sure that neither Liko nor Dot has mons that can mega evolve at this time, and I don't think they're really gonna. I don't think they're gonna do new captures right now. I don't know. Okay, don't take this as me like pretending to like theorize. I'm actually leaking. I actually do not know if they're gonna capture new mons or not, but most likely I would say probably not new captures this arc. That's just like the vibe I'm getting. But, and like the new megas would, if they got new megas, they would need new captures for that, right? And it's like, maybe they could get a mega capture and then they could get a Gen 10 capture later. I don't know. But until at least spring 2027, it's going to 2028, David. It's going to 2028. I'm just gonna being straight up. It's going to 2028. It's not just 2027. It's going to 2028. Minimum. Maybe even longer, but I hope not. Is he going to reply anything else? No. All right. What do we think of dual type Terra? Dog. What do you mean dual type Terra? We don't Terra does not need that shit, okay? We do not need that. We do not need that. We don't need Terra at all and we don't need to make it stronger. For fuck's sake, bro. Like Terra needs to be left in the past, I swear. Like they made a mistake advertising with Terra. Even though I knew it was Gen 9 time at the time, like they should not. Like they could do Dynamax. Okay, Dynamax is okay. Z moves, I guess those are fine too. They're a bit lame when you're doing VGC battles because, usually a Z move is just like a one shot when you use it. And, you just have to. It kind of sucks that whenever you're going into a Z move VGC battle, you just have to accept that one of your mons is going to get one shot. You just have to hope it's not your carry, right? Like, that's pretty lame, in my opinion. Dynamax is similar, but it's you can deal with it. Dynamax is much more you know easy to deal with than Z moves. Do you think they'll go back to Asia Area Zero? Maybe. They're going back to Paldea a lot. Clearly, right? They're going with the Ruinous Legendaries, Koraidon, Miraidon. Like, surely Area Zero will come up at some point. I really wish it was a really weird choice for them to give the only Paradox capture to Sango of all people. Like, I feel like why, why, why her? Like, why did they give that to her of all people? Right? Like, why couldn't we get an Area Zero capture for Liko or Roy? I feel like is it just me or like wouldn't a Roaring Moon have been so much more interesting than like a shiny Lucario? Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Lucius had one too, I guess. Why the fuck are you in a bad place? What do you mean? A bad place? This is just my office, bro. It's just nighttime. So it's dark. It's 10 p.m. where I live. Like it's just nighttime, bro. Like that's all there is to it. It's just dark outside. Like I know you live in Asia, so it's probably morning for you, but it's nighttime for me, big dog. Should have Pokeballs for all types. What does that even mean? Pokeballs for all types. Could there be a tournament arc later on? I mean, fuck if I know, bro. Maybe. You're in WV. Oh wow, David. I'm in West Virginia too. I live in Morgantown. We live in the same state. Wow. Bro aired the podcast idea. It's not about airing the podcast idea. It's just trying to find people. Like I even set up like I paid someone to make a background, but they never made the background. But it's just about like setting everything up and then also getting people to come on with you. You're in Martinsburg. Oh, yeah. It's just about getting people to come on with you and like also my schedule is very variable like from week to week, so it's kind of like hard to like come up with like a set date for things. I'm a pretty busy guy, so it's kind of hard to set up a podcast. I guess I'm just not really built for one, but I'm going to do it. But one, there isn't really a whole lot of stuff to talk about, except when stuff like this happens, and then it's just like I can just cover that myself in a normal stream. So I think the podcast is gonna have to lay dormant until next year, most likely. Do you think we'll have a lot of new type combos? Maybe. I mean, I don't even know which ones are left that haven't been done yet. I think like the big one for me was normal Ghost with Zoroark. Like that shit was so cool, but Hisuian Zoroark sucks so bad that it doesn't even matter. If you have Fosnaz that you vibe with your podcast, I mean, I can just bring on some of my friends, right? Like some of my moderators and stuff, and we can just have a good time. But I want to expand it beyond that, right? I want to get, some other names, but it's kind of hard. Either one, because they have their own podcast, or two, they may not feel comfortable coming onto an actual podcast, right? Do you know what type of Pokemon Evil Team uses? No, I don't know shit about the game, dude. Oh, man. Fire Fairy Final Evo Pombon. That would be cool. But I'm not picking the fire starter, so I don't really care. I'm gonna pick the Gecko one, Gekwa or whatever, and I'm gonna box it. Okay, I've been boxing starters since like when was the last time I didn't box a starter? Maybe it was Legends Arceus. I used Hisuian Samurai for until like level 50, and then I boxed it. But I've been boxing starters since like Oraz, I think. Yeah. I think that's the last time I actually used a starter the whole way through the game was Omega Ruby. Since then, I've played every single Pokemon game and I've been boxing the starters pretty much. I used Decidueye for a while, but kind of stopped using it. But I'm gonna pick Gekwa and box that shit as soon as I catch another Pokemon. It just is what it is. I'm just not interested in using that shit. Like the starters, kind of like I'm not gonna lie. Gen 10, the weakest part of Gen 10 I've seen so far is the starters. They all look terrible. They all look like uncanny. Like they don't look good. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it here. I think we've covered pretty much everything. If you guys do have further questions, feel free to reach me in the GAIACHADS Discord or just at me on Twitter, I guess, and maybe if I see, I'll respond. But yeah, follow me on Twitter, like, subscribe here. I'm trying to get to 500 YouTube subscribers at some point, which would be cool. But I should probably stream more often, to actually make it worth subscribing. But we'll see what happens. And of course, if you aren't already, join the GAIACHADS Discord. It is the best Discord to find all new Pokemon League information. It's also pretty active. Yeah, I'm not gonna delete this VOD, Yami Yugi. You can just watch the VOD after once it uploads. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time. I will probably not be streaming again until there is some sort of leak update. Either if Ball Guy posts something or Billy, like, out of the goodness of his heart, starts like leaking like crazy. Maybe we'll do another stream then. But until then, probably not going to be streaming a whole lot. You might not see me for another month or so. I want to do, I've been hearing some rumors of stuff. I want to do a sort of leak write-up similar to what I did late last year, later this summer. But some things have to happen in order for that to happen. So, we'll see. Anyway, catch you guys next time.